All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Well, I got a burr under my saddle.
We talk, you listen.
Somebody that's going to take an innocent life is not mentally insane?
You know them.
Time to nut up or shut up.
You love to hate them.
It's the Denton and Sasquatch Show.
You're a good team.
Can I bring my AR-15 next time?
Sure.
Yes.
This place is half talk show, half weird daycare. I love it.
You can't handle the truth.
Hello and welcome once again to the Denton and Sasquatch Show, coming to you from California and Alabama. My name is Sasquatch. I live in California, and we got Denton. He lives in Alabama. What's up?
Was Yeah, I'm in Alabama. And by the way, our email is all over the world. I don't care where you're at. You can go to dentonandsasshow@gmail.com and tell us how great we are or how badly we suck. It's up to you. It's your opinion. Or you can go to prepperforms.net. And at prepperforms.net, you'll find us malingering. Is that the right word? Yeah, hanging out there, posting our opinions about this, that, and the other. Sometimes about actual preparation and survival, sometimes about politics, usually about politics. And really, even if you're listening to us on iTunes here, please go over to YouTube. It's the Denton and Sasquatch Show there, too. And just turn it on. You ain't got to listen to it again. Just let it play through so we get more hits, because we really, really want to get it big enough on YouTube to where we get banned. All the cool kids getting banned, and we want to too.
Yeah, and if you are listening on iTunes, make sure you rate us too. Always helps with getting a fan base, so give us an old rate there if you would.
Even if you think we suck, you listened to it, didn't you? You didn't turn it off? Rate us high.
Exactly.
So, Sass, why don't you start the show out?
Well, I have a question. I want to pose this question to you and to the audience and see what everybody thinks. What is the deal with the word boss?
Boss Hogg, the boss. What's his name? That rock and roll singer, Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, the boss. No, that actually crossed my mind, Boss Hogg. But no, the reason I bring this up is because recently, and today specifically, I got called boss probably 6 or 7 times. The guy at the Quickie Mart, in there buying something to drink, and he's all, thanks, boss, here's your change. I think, boss? Am I your boss? Now, I wondered if this is like, because these are usually people that are younger than me, so I'm wondering if it's sort of just like a younger person thing, like somebody calling you dude, but boss is the cool new word. Or is this something to do with, like, I don't know how to put it, just like, it's sort of like calling me the man. You know what I mean? Oh, like you the man.
No.
Sort of thing.
Or maybe they're being facetious.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
oh, you're breaking up.
Like the black Utes calling somebody massa, sort of like that.
Yeah. Yes, that makes sense. I don't know. I hear boss. I hear chief.
Yeah,
I really don't like any of them.
I've heard chief every once in a while, but usually I get boss. What do you think, boss? Or sure, boss. What do you need, boss? What can I do for you, boss?
Stop calling me boss for first.
Well, and it kind of reminds me of Cool Hand Luke. All the prisoners, they had to say boss to the prison guards. I got to take a piss, boss.
Excuse me, boss. Don't mean to interrupt. Got short here.
It's all right. It's okay. We're just going out there behind them trees. Man's got to have his privacy sometime. Just keep shaking that bush so we know you're there. Just keep shaking that bush.
Yes, boss.
Shaking the bush, boss.
Yep. So I wonder if it's something like that, like they're trying to suggest that I'm the evil guard and that they're the poor inmate. So,
well,
I was just curious. So if anybody has an answer to what I'm asking, you can always hit us up on our YouTube page or over there at Prepper Forums, or you can even send it to the email, dentonandsashow at gmail.com.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. If you have the answer, we don't have it because we're too old. We are the bosses. I don't know.
Well, now, if I was at work, this would make
Hey,
sense
look here.
because I am the boss. But
I don't know.
just in regular life, doesn't make sense. All right, enough of that. Go on.
Okay. I don't know if you heard, but over the weekend, there were some shootings.
I did.
Yeah. In El Paso, there are 22 now. 22 people died. Dayton, what was it? 9 people, I think, died. And also in Chicago, there's an attempted mass shooting. I think it was an attempted mass shooting. They did a drive-by, and they shot several people. Nobody died. So, and it was in Chicago, so it didn't get any news, but I did see that. It seems to me like they're almost they're supposed to happen or something. You know what I'm saying?
I think I think I have the I think I have the cure for this. We need to ban young men.
Ban young men.
Yeah. It is illegal to be a young man.
You realize at one point in time in your old life, you were a young man.
Yeah, but I'm not anymore, so it doesn't matter to me.
So that doesn't befront you anymore.
Nope.
Well, so if we ban them, we have to put them in prison or kill them.
I'm good with either.
Well, see, if you put them in prison, we have to feed them. They're no longer working. If we kill them, then it's an ecological problem. We have to figure out some way to dispose of them. Either way, there's going to be some very mad parents. So I don't think that's a good idea. But anyway, first off, I'd like to point out a couple of things. Did you see the picture of the fella in El Paso?
I saw a picture of one of them. I don't remember which one it was. Is it a picture of him in the back of the cop car?
No, this is the one where it's a picture of him walking into Walmart. A security camera caught him, and it was clear he had cargo pants on, or tactical pants, whatever you want to call them, black shirt, and he was carrying an AK-47 with the standard 30-round magazine. I think I saw nothing, no bulge, because, you know, the banana magazines are not what you call small. It's not like you're putting a 20-round or 30-round AR-15 magazine in your pocket. I didn't see any evidence that he had a spare mag yet. He shot 50 people. Okay.
That's odd.
I thought so as well. Just something to throw out there for folks to think about. Now, here's another thing. I want to read something, okay? I just randomly picked something out here just to, you know, I don't know how I found this. That I may have gone to some literary site, whatever. But I want to read this, and you tell me what you think.
All right.
In short, America is rotting from the inside out, and peaceful means to stop this seem to be nearly impossible. The inconvenient truth is that our leaders, both Democrat and Republican, have been failing us for decades. They are either complacent or involved in one of the biggest betrayals of the American public in our history. The takeover of the United States government by unchecked corporations. I could write a 10-page essay on all the damage that these corporations have caused, but here is what is important. Due to the death of the baby boomers, the increasingly anti-immigrant rhetoric of the right, and the ever-increasing Hispanic population, America will soon become a one-party state. The Democrat Party will own America, and they know it. They have already begun to transition by pandering heavily to the Hispanic voting bloc in the first Democratic debate. They intend to use open borders, free health care for illegals, citizenship, and more to enact a political coup by importing and then legalizing millions of new voters. With policies like these, the Hispanic voter for Democrats will likely become nearly unanimous in the future. The heavy Hispanic population in Texas will make us a Democratic stronghold. Losing Texas and a few other states with heavy Hispanic population to the Democrats is all it would take for them to win nearly every presidential election. Although the Republican Party is terrible, many factions within the Republican Party are pro-corporations. Pro-corporation equals pro-immigration. But some factions within the Republican Party don't prioritize corporations over our future. So the Democrats are nearly unanimous in their support of immigration, while the Republicans are divided over it. At least with the Republicans, the process of migration, mass migration, and citizenship can be greatly reduced. Okay. Now, how old would you suspect that individual who wrote that would be? Judging by the words, the words he used, syntax.
Probably in their early 40s.
Yeah, that's what I think. The earliest is early 40s. So this was written by that just turned 21 shooter in El Paso.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but I don't buy that. Okay.
Well, not only that, it mirrors so much of what has been said lately. You know what I mean? Just like things I've heard in the media.
Well, okay.
Like almost word for word. I mean, if there were a 21-year-old that were, using a streaming consciousness just to write, he wouldn't write like that. He may write some of the same type of things if that's what he's hearing over and over again, but he wouldn't write like that. That was almost written like a piece you would read out of the LA Times or something.
It was, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So this is kind of strange to me that a 21-year-old, and we know the state of our education system nowadays, a 21-year-old wrote this, and he posted it, a couple, 3 hours before he went on his shooting rampage?
This was the El Paso kid?
Yes.
Well, didn't they say he drove like a few hours to get to El Paso?
Yes.
So
from Allen, Texas, which is outside of Dallas.
Did he hit the send button and just jump in his car and race over there?
I don't know. I don't know when he pulled into El Paso. I don't know these things. I don't know when he got to El Paso. Did he have 2 or 3 hours to write this? And remember, this is just one paragraph. He goes into economic reasons why he's about to do this. He explains quite a bit. And he says some of the things that we have said in our podcast.
Yeah,
and this is what kind of makes me wonder.
I was going to wonder what, if he listened to our podcast? It makes you wonder if he listened to our podcast?
No, what it seems to me, I'm going to go ahead and put my tinfoil hat on here. I don't think he wrote this.
No, and neither do I.
Let me just suggest that there's a possibility that his handler wrote this. Okay. And you've heard of MK Ultra and that kind of stuff. Whatever. Let's don't get to the. Then the kid goes, or the man goes and does this horrible shooting. All right. And in his manifesto, he says a lot of things that we said, and we'll say again. And he even, he uses an AK-47, kills a lot of folks. Great timing. But I can see that this being used again for 4 minutes. And it seems to me that maybe all this stuff is happening because some entity wants it to happen.
Well, you've heard of Occam's razor, right? A lot of people have.
Yeah.
Usually the simplest answer is the right answer. Now here's where what you read, because that was the first time I'd heard that. I hadn't read any of that because I've been sort of staying away from this stuff. But if he's against illegals, but he didn't call them illegals. He called them immigrants, which is what the left does. They never refer to them as illegals, just as immigrants.
Well, at one point he says immigration, both legal and illegal.
Oh, okay. But just the one paragraph or one part that I heard you reading, it was just talking about immigrants in general.
Yeah, usually it's immigration.
As if they were the same thing, and they're really not. There's illegal immigration and there's legal immigration. And most of the people you were talking about, have a problem with illegal immigration, not legal immigration. So that is true. It just seemed really weird that he wouldn't differentiate the two if he has a problem with illegal immigration.
Well, he definitely had a problem with Hispanics. And if you can go, you can Google it, and you can find his manifesto, and he does specifically talk about Hispanic people. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt he was aiming for them.
Well, and I think a lot of people have a problem with Hispanics in certain cases. Like personally, me, I don't have a problem with Hispanics in general, but I have a problem with Hispanics illegally immigrating to this country. The difference is I'm not a psycho, so I'm not going to go out and kill them. I understand that they're human beings. I understand why they come here. I don't agree with it, but I understand it, and I'm not going to go out and kill them. So there's the real difference. Is this guy was a psycho.
Yeah. Well, he had something going against him, no doubt. And personally, I don't care if Irish illegal immigrant tosses his ass across the Atlantic.
Yeah, that's true.
Hopefully he lands.
It's just that we have such
But either way, it's not my problem.
A large amount
Now,
of Hispanic illegal immigrants. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a bunch of them to the south of our border. The Canadians have no reason to come across. So, yeah, it's going to be from the south. But now, this is something, speaking of race, President Trump condemned white supremacy on Monday, calling for Americans to unite around several proposals to help identify and prevent mass shootings. In one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy. These sinister ideologies must be defeated. Hate has no place in America. Hatred warps the mind, ravages the heart, and devours the soul. Can't argue against any of that, except for I want to know, why is it that he is pointing out white supremacy?
Well, I can tell you why. Because you remember there were bad people on both sides?
No, there were good people on both sides.
Oh, good people on both sides. I'm sorry, good people on both sides. Well, they took that and ran with it that, he supports the white supremacists. When that isn't what he was saying at all. So anytime he does not actually use the words and denounce it, that means he supports it to the left. So now he's trying to get out in front of that and just nip it in the bud real quick. That's what I think.
You're probably right, but you know what? It doesn't matter what he says. They're going to twist it. They're going to call him out on things that he hasn't said. And so why do that? Racial supremacy would be better, I think. But now, it makes it sound like the shooters are always white supremacists. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that point. He could have just said racism in any form.
Yeah. Well, let's go to Dayton, Ohio, or as Trump said, Toledo.
All right.
Dayton, Toledo, or someplace over in Ohio. Dayton shooter reportedly supported gun control. That's funny. That's funny right there all by itself. Elizabeth Warren and socialism. More information is being reported. This is from the Washington Examiner, by the way. More information is being reported on, I'm not going to say his name, 24, the deceased gunman who shot and killed 9 people and wounded 27 others in a mass shooting early Sunday morning. One of the ones that he killed was his own sister, by the way. I don't know what she did to him. Twitter account appearing to belong to him showed he supported socialist causes and was a supporter of presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren. The Twitter biography reads, he, him, anime fan, metalhead, leftist. I'm going to hell and I'm not coming back. His tweets include praising Satan and F. John McCain. After Arizona, John McCain died. And so, I don't know. He also reported criticizing American gun laws, tweeting in 2018, this is America, guns on every corner, in every house, no freedom but that to kill. Huh? What? Okay, he was unhinged. And tweeted to Ohio Senator Rob Portman on the Sunday of the major Stoneman Douglas High School mass shooting. At Rob Portman, hey, Rob, how much do they pay you to look the other way? 17 kids are dead. If not now, when? Okay, this doesn't sound like a white supremacist. It dang sure doesn't sound like a Trump supporter. What else did he say? I want socialism, and I'll not wait for the idiots to finally come around to understanding, he said. He also exhibited a fascination with the devil, using such hashtags as hashtag selfie for Satan, hashtag hell Satan, and and at Satan tweeting.
All right.
All righty, now, That doesn't sound like a white supremacist. Sound like a nut job, right?
Well, yeah, and if there's any parallel to the other shooter, they both sound like psychos.
Absolutely. Now, I just read some of that stuff to you. Now I'm going to Breitbart because it's one of my favorite places to go. The American Psychiatric Association pushed back against President Trump for emphasizing the festering mental health crisis in the United States in the wake of the tragic shootings that took place in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio over the weekend. Okay? Blaming mental illness for gun violence in our country is simplistic and inaccurate and goes against the scientific evidence currently available. Arthur C. Evans Jr., who is somebody with he's a CEO for APA. All right, so we just read what the Dayton dude said and tweeted and posted. Clearly has, we'll say, some issues. And here the American Psychiatric Association said, oh, whoa, you can't blame crazy people for their crazy actions. That's just wrong.
No, you got to blame the gun.
Yeah. So we got to take the guns away from everybody. But they can't do that. They know that. But now we know they're coming out with, is it McConnell and somebody else? I don't have the article in front of me here. They're coming together to support red flag laws and to provide funding to the states who have red flag laws. What do you think of red flag laws?
I think they're unconstitutional.
Well, how come?
Because you are being... Wow, totally drawing a blank right now. Because you're... It's been a long week, and it's only Monday. Because you are... Well, for one, you're having your property taken away without due process. And for two, you are pretty much being called guilty before you are convicted of anything.
Well, you hit the nail on the head both times. Absolutely. Now, let's just say red flag laws didn't violate the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Skip right over the Constitution. Another reason I don't like them is I've got 2 ex-wives. Okay, and believe it or not, some people don't find me to be charming. Some people actually don't like me.
Hard to believe.
Okay? That's what I say, Oh, Lord, it's hard to be humble. But anyway, what would prevent one of many people from calling the cops and basically swatting me? And by the way, if you don't know, swatting is when you got a grudge against somebody, you say something to the cops that gives them a reason to send the SWAT to the person's house, and you never know. Death by cops is not unheard of when they get there at 3 o'clock in the morning and they bust the door down.
Yeah. Well,
okay, so it can be misused.
And I feel the same way as you. Even though I have a great personality and I talk on this show every week, I'm usually a pretty quiet guy. Like at work, I don't talk a lot. And a lot of people, the reason I don't talk a lot is because I work with a lot of liberals. But a lot of people take that as I'm mean or I'm not friendly. And it's not that. Unless somebody engages me first, I usually don't talk to people. So, exactly the same thing with you. They could be like, well, that Sasquatch right there, he's quiet, so he must be one of those guys that's going to go crazy.
It's always the quiet ones.
Yep.
All righty. Now I'm just going to click that out because I should have done that already. Now, this is what burns my butt.
Hemorrhoids.
Well, actually, that too.
Oh, all right.
But let's drive on through that. Let me see, where did that tweet go? The idiots, they went tweet nuts. And
hey, before you start in on this tweet thing, can I just relay something that I saw the other day?
Absolutely.
Only 2% of the people in this country have a Twitter account.
Really?
So all that craziness on Twitter is coming from 2% of morons.
To include Trump?
Yeah, he's part of that 2%.
All right. Well, I am too, because I went to click on one of these twit things. Breitbart will put the twits in there.
Yep.
And it brought up my Twitter account.
All right.
And my computer remembers my number. So I've been going hard and steady at twitting at these idiots, Rob Reiner, what's their name, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, because they're saying stupid things. But here's one that really irritates me. John Leguizamo.
Leguizamo.
Okay. He's a thin Italian actor. I'm sure everybody's seen him in movies. If you haven't, Google him. You'll see a picture of him if you know how to spell his name.
I think he's Puerto Rican.
I thought he was Italian.
No, I think he's Puerto Rican.
He plays Italian characters.
Yeah, he also plays Hispanic characters. So, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he's half.
My bad. Well, his name is Leguizamo.
Yes.
So he says, I'm sick of my thoughts and prayers. They do nothing to stop the slaughter of innocent Americans at work and play. We have to have gun control now. Not one more life should be lost to senseless, preventable gun shootings. Okay, look here, John, or
Leguizamo.
Let's just stick with John. Thoughts and prayers. You don't know what prayers stop. You have no idea. You know why, John? Because you can't prove a negative. First off. Second off, praying that God gives comfort to the victims and the families, it's not a bad thing, John. Oh, and John, you think maybe there's a connection between the country going kind of cuckoo and the fact that the liberals are in control of everything from the House to the media to the education system, you name it, and everybody is kicking God out of the country, all the sinners of this and that and the other. John, I got another thing that you ought to consider. Not praying for the country, not praying for people, is causing this. And John, your liberal garbage and the movies you make and the crap, that has more to do with where we're at now than anybody owning a gun. I've got a safe full of them. I've got thousands of rounds of ammunition, and nobody has been shot by me or my weapons. I take head count of my weapons, make sure none's trotted out the back door and went on a shooting spree. Never happened. Okay, so John, you're wrong. We don't need more gun control because guess what? We already have laws that says you can't kill other people without good reason.
Well, you see, here's the problem. Twitter is full of idiots.
And so is Hollywood.
And Hollywood, but Twitter more specifically, it's not like you have to take a test before you get a Twitter account or prove that you know anything. You just have to put in your email and a password, and suddenly you can say whatever you want. And
apparently it's the same way with podcasts.
Well, it is, really. But, these people get on there, and like I said, it's only 2% of the country, so who do you think is going to go to Twitter? All the idiots that think people need to listen to them. Like, well, I have something to say. You need to listen to me.
Well, I think these liberal elite actors and these kind of people, they are so full of themselves. People have, let me have your autograph. Can I shake your hand? Let's do a selfie together. You know, they got this big head. All they are is they're trained dancing monkeys. Well, nothing more.
Yeah, they are. But in Twitter, even though it makes no money, it was a perfect vehicle for people like that because they can reach out there and touch those people, not literally, but touch those people without actually having to go out and touch those people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they connect, but they do it from a standoff distance.
Exactly. So all these idiots that listen to these people sit there and think, he's listening to me. No, he's not. He's just talking down to you through Twitter. That's really all he's doing.
Rob Reiner, meathead, he tweeted this: another mass shooting, another white nationalist. I like that. Another mass shooting. Okay, yeah, he's correct. Another white nationalist.
Well, again, they don't have to prove anything they say. They just say it. And the media prints it as though it was true. People believe it as though it were true. It's just words that come out of their mouth, which are usually talking points that they've already heard from the media. So it's just a secular sort of mass hysteria, really.
There are not fine people on both sides. The President of the United States bears responsibility. Okay, now that's taken out of context. Okay, that was was it Charlotte Charleston?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier. But yeah, they take everything he says out of context.
Yeah. And the President of the United States bears responsibility. Really? For what? These people live in their own little bubbles, you know, and they know deep down, you know, they know that they're spreading bullshit.
Well,
they've got to know this.
Yeah, but they think they're right, so they're going to do it anyway. But no, the president bears responsibility for that just as much as they bear responsibility for these Antifa idiots hitting people with locks over the head.
Or how about the previous president who was always quick to jump the gun against cops and any situation that involved minority peoples, and then we had a spree of knockout games.
Yeah, that too.
You know, where black folks was attacking white folks from behind, knocking them out. Did anybody call Obama out on that?
Of course not.
Should he bear responsibility? No, I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Those people doing that, it was their own, they did it on their own. They decided this is going to be a great idea, that I'm going to single out a human being and attack him. So no. You know, would you, if Trump said Hispanics are evil, kill them all, would you go and get your weapon and start killing Hispanics?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so get right down to it. The shooter in El Paso, the shooter in Dayton, you know, they bear the responsibility for their stupidity, nobody else. And anybody that says otherwise, well, they're probably on Twitter.
Most likely, yes.
So I'm about tired.
Tired of
Can
this.
you imagine if we had? Yeah. Can you imagine if we had a 3-hour show? You know, like the people on talk shows that go on for 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
Damn, my voice would be just tore up by the first 45 minutes.
Well, and a little while ago I said that I didn't read the manifesto or anything because I've kind of stayed away from this, and I have because it's the same thing every time something like this happens. Nobody wants to address the problem. They just want to scream about it and throw all kinds of crazy things out there. Oh, we need gun control. It's like, we have gun control. It's not going to do anything. You can't.
There's nothing the government can do.
Well, no, you can't preemptively stop somebody from doing something they haven't done yet.
So if they do anything about that, if the government does anything, really, all it is going to be a violation of rights. Nothing else, because that's the only way they can do this.
Yeah.
And I think I'm having, either I'm going deaf or we're having audio issues.
Yeah, we are, I think, having a little bit of that. Well, you want to take a little break and I'll read a little something here?
Huh?
I said you want to let your voice take a little break and I'll read a little something here?
Yeah, go ahead.
This article is called The Regression of America's Big Progressive Cities by Joel Kotkin. I will link it to our YouTube, so if you want to read the whole thing, you can. It starts off by saying, if there's anything productive to come from his recent Twitter storm, President Trump's recent crude attacks on Baltimore Congressman Elijah Cummings have succeeded in bringing necessary attention to the increasingly tragic state of our cities. Baltimore's continued woes after numerous attempts to position itself as a comeback city illustrates all too poignantly the deep-seated decay in many of our great urban areas. Baltimore represents an extreme case, but sadly it's not alone. Last year, our three largest urban centers, New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, lost people while millennial migration accelerated both to the suburbs and smaller, generally less dense cities. These demographic trends, as well as growing blight, poor schools, decaying infrastructure, and worst of all, expanding homelessness, are not merely the result of racism or Donald Trump, but have all been exacerbated by policy agendas that are turning many cities into loony towns. Paragraph 2, politics run amok. Take tech-rich San Francisco, where decades of tolerance for even extreme deviant behavior has helped create a city with more drug addicts than high school students. And so much feces on the street that one website has created a poop map. In Southern California's far more proletarian city of Los Angeles, we have a downtown filled with overbuilt, overpriced apartments and is like Baltimore being overrun with rats. A UN official last year compared conditions in the city's Skid Row to those of Syrian refugee camps. One would think such nasty problems would spark something of a political rebellion, as seen in previous decades with the rise of successful pragmatic mayors Bob Lanier and Bill White in Houston, Rudy Giuliani and Michael Bloomberg in New York, and Richard Riordan in Los Angeles. But so far, at least many of today's big city mayors seem more interested in bolstering their resistance than governing effectively. Los Angeles' Eric Garcetti, for example, speaks enthusiastically about his own new Green Deal and turning the city into a transit Valhalla, even as blight and homelessness expand all over the city. The mayor is less rhapsodic about practical things that people actually need, such as decent roads, reliable water, and electricity. Economic growth generally is not much of a priority for the woke urban political class. In New York, Representative Ocasio-Alexandria-Cortez allies succeeded in driving Amazon's new headquarters out of her district. Meanwhile, her socialist comrades in Seattle have helped persuade the online giant to relocate more of its employees out to a massive new building in the suburb of Bellevue, while the Emerald City hosts a rising homeless population. The demographics of ultra-progressivism. Ironically, this far-left trend partially can be traced to the post-2000 urban resurgence sparked by the now unappreciated pragmatic mayors who made the city safer and more business-friendly. Safe streets and thriving businesses lured large numbers of young people, many well-educated and mostly liberal, to the urban core in numbers not seen for generations. Yet, since the 1970s, the middle class in cities has been in a precipitous decline while poverty has remained stubbornly high. Philadelphia's Central Core, for example, rebounded between 2000 and 2014, but for every district that gained in income, 2 suffered income declines. In 1970, half of Chicago was middle class. Today, according to a new University of Illinois study, that number is down 16%. Meanwhile, the percentage of poor people has risen from 42% to 62%. The most attractive blue cities, led by New York, San Francisco, San Jose, Los Angeles, and Boston, now suffer, according to Pew Research, the largest gaps between the bottom and top quintiles of the U.S. cities. The post-2000 urban success increased housing but failed to create a new, stable urban middle class. Most young urbanites don't stay long enough to build long-term communities. Once they hit the family formation period in their 30s, they still largely depart for the suburbs. As The Atlantic recently noted, the number of babies born in Manhattan this decade dropped nearly 15%. Already home to a majority of single households, the nation's premier urban center could see its infant population cut in half in 30 years. Remaking urban politics. The new demographics have hollowed out the political middle class in most cities. The old urban middle class leaned Democratic, but they were largely interested in practical outcomes like paved roads, fixed lights, and access to jobs. Their departure and replacement by temporary hipster populations has helped insulate city governments from constituents who would be most adamant about reforming usually failed school districts or demanding improvements in public infrastructure or maintaining public order. Okay, so this thing keeps going and going. It's all a really good read. Like I said, I will link it to YouTube. But basically, what he's saying is these ultra-liberal progressives that have moved into the cities have ruined them. And then they move out of the cities and they ruin wherever they move.
Like locusts, yeah.
Yes, pretty much.
For any of the liberals that are listening to us, because I know there's at least, well, probably not anybody, but if you know liberals and you're living in one of those cities, just tell them, Alabama, we don't have indoor plumbing yet. We don't have carpet. We don't have flooring. We just have dirt. We live in huts, okay? There's nothing for you here. You do not want to come here. This is the most god-awful state you'll ever see in your life. I know you go down to Panama City and you drive down 231 and you see houses and stores and that kind of stuff. That's kind of like when you look over the border into North Korea and have cities right there where you can see them. It's all fake. So don't come to Alabama.
It's all a facade.
That's right.
You know what I do want to do, though? I want to finish just the very last paragraph of this because he kind of brings it all together. He says, only when grassroots people and concerned businesses decide to challenge the urban status quo and the virtue-signaling political class can decay and relentless by fear of bifurcation of our cities be reversed. After all, large and powerful companies like Amazon can always pack up and migrate to less insane political environments. But those with a strong stake in local economy and neighborhoods have fewer options. It will be up to them to restore our city's historic role as a place for both families and middle-class economic aspiration. So, we all know that the liberals are trying to get rid of the middle class. They've been doing it forever, and some of the Republicans are too. What this guy's basically saying is, it's up to us. If we don't turn this around, it's our fault.
But they have the reins.
They have the what?
Reins, like a horse. You know, the reins. The reins, how you control the horse. They have the reins. They control the government.
Oh, reins. I thought you said rings. No, I understand that, but what he's saying is a grassroots group of people. That means people need to get out and vote. They need to get rid of these idiot politicians that allow this stuff to happen in these cities and make them livable again. I mean, but that goes for any city.
Good luck.
Well,
absolutely. It goes for any city. It goes for any state, anything, yes.
I mean, I agree. It's definitely a challenge, but I think it can be done if people just get off their butts. And I mean, if you really want to live a nice life, you got to fight for it.
You have to fight for your right, not to step in human crap when you're walking in San Francisco or Los Angeles.
Well, it seems that way, yes, and it's the same for gun control. You have to fight for your rights now. You shouldn't have to. They should just be rights that are there. But now you have to fight for your rights.
Yes. Well, it sounds like he has an idea. I like it. It's sad that the cities have gone to hell in handbaskets because liberalism doesn't work. But I don't think liberals realize that yet. I don't know when a liberal will realize that liberalism does not work.
Well, I guess it's like an alcoholic. You got to hit rock bottom before you realize something needs to change.
They'll still blame Trump.
Probably.
20 years from now, Beto is Beto. I will not call it. Didn't mean to call him. Robert O'Rourke is the president. They'll still be blaming Trump.
But they'll be doing it in Spanish.
Exactly. Well, this has been a long one.
Yes.
And we didn't even have any funny news. Sorry. Hey, attach the picture of my new pets.
All right, and they will be on the YouTube version of this. I'll use that as the picture.
Okay. Just tell everybody, I got new pets yesterday. My wife wanted to go to a seafood market. That's about 15 miles away, so we went, got some redfish. She wants snow crab legs. And I looked into this slap box, and I looked in there, and there were blue crabs. So I got a sack full of them. I thought these would be really cool pets. I named them all Bob because, crabs really don't come to you when you call them. It's kind of like goldfish. What's the use of naming the damn things? Anyway, I got home and realized these things are filthy. So I put them in a sink full of water, and sure enough, there's seaweed and that kind of stuff, dirt coming off of them. And I thought, you know what? That was probably a little bit cold for them because the Gulf of Mexico right now is kind of warm. So I gave them a really hot bath on the stove. Well, the little boogers turned red and they all died. What are you going to do? Anyway, Bobs are dead. What could I do? Throw them away? No. I thought, well, it's kind of morbid, but I think I'm going to eat my pets.
Well, I mean, you don't want them to go to waste.
It's kind of funny. Right now you're laughing, but if Bob had been a dog and I said he died and I ate him, there'd be people just freaking out all over the place. But nobody cares about crab lives matter, pal. Okay?
I suppose they do.
But they were tasty. So, yeah, add that picture so people could see the pets I had for just 3 or 4 hours. Yeah. Shame. It's painful. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Too soon, man. Too soon. Anyway. You there?
Yep. Just waiting for you to say goodbye.
Oh, well, look here. I know at least the crabs were doomed, so drink up. Goodbye. Horrible dismount.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you, so